My name is Jennifer Arvizu, and I'm the operations manager with Roots and Roads. We want to welcome you all this evening for our game night featuring Exit Matters. But before we get started, I want to go over some of the Zoom controls for this evening. So as you'll notice down at the bottom of your screen, you have a microphone icon. That's where you're going to want to mute and unmute your microphone. This is an interactive session, so please feel free to unmute when you have something to say. And then again, there is the start and stop video icon, as well as a chat button where you can ask questions or leave comments. Excuse me. I'm just getting over a cold. Up at the top, there's a view icon, and that's where you can change your view from speaker view to gallery view if you'd like to see the other game players this evening. And we will be utilizing breakout rooms. And so when it's time to go into your breakout rooms, you'll see a prompt similar to what's coming up on the screen. It's going to let you know that we're invited you to join a breakout room. You'll want to go ahead and click on the Join Breakout Room button. And then once you're in the breakout room, it's going to look something a little bit like this. You're going to have the same features down at the bottom with the addition of this Ask for Help icon. And so if you have any questions, you can hit that button and it will alert me or David or Jen to come and join you to help out. So I think you'll probably get about 5 minutes in the breakout sessions. And so when it's close to time, you'll be prompted to come back from the session. It'll give you a little warning that time is coming up. What you'll want to do is, if you're done, you can go ahead and return to the main session by clicking on the button. And if you prefer, if you're in the middle of a thought, you can go ahead and just wait out the time and then it'll bring you back automatically. So with that, I just want to introduce us for those of you who are maybe joining us for the first time. We are Roots and Roads Community Hospice Foundation. And we thought it'd be fun, since it's game night, if we do a little trivia with some of our returning attendees. So our vision, does anyone know or remember what the Community Hospice Foundation vision is? Please feel free to unmute if you do know. Anybody? Okay. It is to transform to transform the end of life experience into the final act of living well. And to do that,
is really too bad. We were going to give away $100,000 to this person who got that.
It was like, oh my God, I know it. And I was gonna, get close enough, but that's okay.
And so the way that we do that is by providing supplemental support for hospice patients and their loved ones. We provide education for the community about end-of-life issues, such as the event we're here for tonight. And our newest endeavor is we're supporting healthcare decisions through a new online resource called The Crosswalk. And to talk to you a little bit more about that is our Director of Community Engagement, David Fife.
Good evening, everybody. I hope that folks who are familiar with Roots and Roads have had a chance to go to the Crosswalk and take a look at it. It's a resource that we put together and launched at the end of last year, and it's really to help folks with the information, resources, tools that will help them as they make decisions about serious illness and end-of-life care. It's everything from how to care for oneself emotionally and spiritually right after a diagnosis to it has opportunities for folks to find support for advanced care planning, family caregivers or the unpaid caregiver who is caring for their loved one. And then information about what the difference is between palliative and hospice care, who the providers are for hospice care in this area, and just basic information about all those different agencies. And we hope that it'll be something that folks can return to time and time again, depending on what their questions are and their needs are. But we're going through a process right now of talking to community groups and members to say, okay, what are we missing in the crosswalk? What are we not asking? What resources are available that you know about that we haven't included? So, when you take a look at it, if you have suggestions, we are all open to be able to hear those. And so you can email us, or Jennifer, there's still a way that people can provide that feedback online. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
there's a prompt for the survey.
Great. So please take some time with it and let us know what you think. We'd greatly appreciate your feedback. And now we're also wanting to thank our foundation level sponsors for our education series this year. The Pima Council on Aging and Right at Home, In-Home Care and Assistance are two organizations that are consistently responsive to community needs and questions, and have been active players in the conversations that are important to the community who we serve, but throughout southeastern Arizona. So we are very grateful to PCOA and Right at Home for their support of this year's series, and so that we can bring you all these amazing sessions. And now we want to thank and warmly welcome Jennifer Davis, who is with us tonight. You can see a little bit about her on your screen. She began thinking about these things, I believe, as a hospice volunteer when she came face to face with the reality and consequences of unspoken conversations and unexpressed wishes around end of life. And so out of those experiences is what prompted her to create Exit Matters, the game that we're going to play tonight. And so we're going to turn things over to Jen right now so she can tell us a little bit more about herself and about the game that we're going to enjoy. So take it away, Jen.
Well, thank you so much for inviting Exit Matters and myself to your game night. It's funny. I feel kind of like this is helping me get back into the game. Prior to early 2020, a game event for Exit Matters would be a room filled with people, probably 20 to 30 people, 4 games going at different tables, lots of laughter, lots of conversation, often in senior centers or church groups or care homes, or monthly game nights at cafes with people from all walks of life playing the actual board game that you're going to get to play tonight with actual dice and playing pieces. So it's been quiet for me the last few years. I have done virtual game nights with families, which has been lovely, but I haven't really been doing the community events. So when this opportunity came up, and Jennifer has just created this amazing interactive experience that you're going to have tonight. And I'm so grateful, because when I started Exit Matters, it was really out of a community need, as David mentioned. I'm from Waterloo, Ontario, Canada, and we were doing a research project in our region about these kinds of conversations, because we know how important they are. But people just aren't having them. So, the board game was born out of the idea to not just to get us more comfortable with death or talking about death, but to really help us to open up our thinking and our understanding and our sharing about what matters to us now in our life, during our dying process, and after our death. So this opportunity tonight is super exciting for me to bring that to you. So you're going to get the opportunity to play the game. It'll be a little different than it would have been in person if we were all together in person, but you're still going to get a lot of interactivity. So you'll see the game board, and what we'll be doing is moving around the game together as one player. So the red playing piece is all of us, and the dice will be rolled for us, and we're going to move in the direction. You'll still get the opportunity then to write in your menu. So I'm hoping you all got a chance to, my menu looks a little different than the one I sent you. But I hope you all got the chance to get the menus, either a piece of paper or the menu that you got sent that has the now in your life, during your dying process, and after your death. So the 3 kind of columns. So you're going to get the opportunity when you land on the yellow circle to write. And I hope you have something to write with. You'll get the opportunity to share, just like we would in a normal game, when we land on the pink circle. And all of this will be on the screen for you, so you don't have to remember what each color means. And then when we land on the green, which is the define, you're going to get asked a question, which will be a Zoom poll that will pop up for you. A blue is a reflect question, so you'll get the opportunity to answer that either in a breakout room or just open sharing, or it through the chat as well. Same with the purple, which is a chance question. And when you land in the center circle, which you can't see right now, but it's there, that'll be a choice question. So that will also be another opportunity for you to either unmute yourself and share your answer or your response, or to put it in the chat. Either is fine. And obviously, all sharing is optional, but super encouraged. That's what really brings this game to life. And I'm here to help facilitate, share a few stories along the way, but really just to enjoy in this conversation that I love so much. Okay, so are we ready, Jennifer?
All right, we're going to get started. We'll roll the dice.
So that's moving us to the yellow, which is the right. So again, hopefully you have your menu handy, or if you don't, a piece of paper. You can write one thing, just one thing in one of the 3 columns. So you can think about now in your life and what might matter to you now in your life. Or you can think about during your dying process, one thing that might matter to you. So this could be an option, a choice, or just something you think of when you think during my dying process, what matters to me. And the same with after your death. You're just picking one thing you're going to write in one of the columns.
And we're going to give you
the menu. It would have got sent. Is that? I think it might have got sent to you, but if you don't have it, just hopefully you have something handy, anything handy, a back of a bill will work, or back of an envelope to write, and something to write with. And you can just put at the top, you put now, during, and after. And you're just writing one thing in one of those columns.
Yeah, and apologies, that would have come an attachment to the email that had the Zoom link for tonight. So if you didn't get it, you can just write it down on a piece of paper. When we send the follow-up email with the video link to the game, we'll include it there if you need to have it.
I like to encourage people just to even think, not to overthink it. Whatever comes to you when you think, what do I really value? What matters to me? What's really important to me? What would I miss? Those kinds of things. And just write it down, just the one thing.
So Jen, if we have a lot of things that come to mind, is it okay to just keep writing?
You know what? It's fine. It's super fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Just keep going.
Like we should have some music or something.
I know.
If we have to. Sorry. Everyone seem to have
I
something
think
written down.
that's probably long enough.
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, I think so. All right, let's.
So now we're going to roll the dice again. And this time we're moving to the greens. And the green is defined. So these are like medical legal words. And the word is hospice. This is what the actual card looks like. But the word is hospice. And so what we're going to do is launch a Zoom poll. And you're just going to pick the answer that you think is the right answer, the definition that you think is the closest, or your knowledge of hospice.
And just for those of you, so A is hospice is specialized medical care for people with a serious illness, prioritizing comfort for individuals with a life expectancy of 9 months or less. B is the same, but with a life expectancy of 6 months or less. Or C, hospice is a place to send people to die.
And you're just clicking and submitting. Jennifer's just going to wait for a few more people to respond, and then she'll launch the answers and tell us, or I can tell, sorry, I will tell you, but she'll let us know how people voted.
Just waiting on a couple more people.
Just give it a try. We don't even know. We won't even know who got it, who said what.
Right. All right, we're gonna go ahead and end the poll. And here are the results.
Okay, so 80% of people got the correct answer. So it's the difference between the first one and the second one, you can remember, was it's the different months, so 9 months and 6 months. And I know in my own area in Waterloo, we talk about hospice as being both residential and the community supports, which I think it is in a lot of areas. So yeah, so that's something I'm sure you're familiar with that as well. So should we keep going? Give the dice another roll. So one of the rules of this game is that regardless of your role, you have to stop in the center circle, which is the choice card. Some people like the choice card, some people don't. They're based on this idea of would you rather. So would you rather, you've got a couple of options here. Would you rather give some special belongings away before you die? Would you rather leave instructions on how to distribute them in a will before you die? Or would you just rather leave it up to your loved ones to decide after you die? And this is one of those opportunities. If anybody wants to just tell us what they would do, A, B, or C, the first choice, second choice, third choice, feel fine or feel comfortable to do that. You can just unmute yourself and let us know why, or you could put it in the chat. I see Susan's hand up. Yeah.
I would rather give them away. And the reason for that is that then I could really explain my reasoning for why I would want certain people to have certain things.
Mm-hmm. And you get to see the joy, right? I mean, that's to me, that's part of. My granny gave me a red bowl and she put my name on the bottom with a, with a Band-Aid. It's still on the bottom, but she passed it to me, and it was like it was almost as valuable as the bowl itself to me. Yeah, it's an interesting. I think our culture doesn't necessarily, like, a lot of people don't do that though. They do B, but I saw someone else had said A. Is there anyone else who would do anything different that wishes to share?
I would love to share. I would choose A as well, but also for the meaning making of it, for the connection of it, as you were talking about, but also to ask what they would like.
And
yeah, so it fits for them as well.
Right. I know. I don't know how many people know, or if you've had that experience yourself where you've inherited something that you might be looking at going, now what? Yeah. I think Becca had her hand up as well. And then we'll come to you, Alan. I'm not seeing everybody, so I'm sure I'm missing somebody. I'm sorry if I am.
I think I would want to do a combination to give away certain special things to certain people and then leave instructions just
Mhm.
because I think it would be a little taxing on me to give everything.
Right.
And also I see it as a possible way to start the letting go process. If you
Mm.
start giving things away, that
Yeah.
you're reconciling yourself, and
Mhm.
I can see that as an advantage.
Mhm. Great. How about you, Alan?
Well, I've already started with retirement in realizing, I think somebody has coined the term Swedish cleaning.
Yeah.
That you're supposed
Swedish
to
death cleaning.
death cleaning, that's what it is. That you're supposed to be moving things out as if you were
Mhm.
going to be dead. And
Mhm.
I was reading some things a long time ago in this whole thing of simplicity, that
Mhm.
they say you should get all the stuff you have that you don't really use, put it in a box, label it with the date, and if you don't come back to get something out of it, you should take it to Goodwill.
Mhm.
And I think I'm learning that with retirement.
Mm.
There's a lot of things I don't need anymore, and I don't even know what they're for at times. And I think I would like to see somebody get some enjoyment out of something I don't think I mean, something I've had enjoyment with, but I'd like to see them get the same experience with. And I'd like to be able to have that experience to see them have that joy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so I think maybe we'll keep going just to keep things moving. So this is a reflect question, which is a blue question. So we're going to go into the breakout room to answer this question, but just to remember, so you have to hold the question in your mind as you go into the breakout room. How or what do you want to be remembered for after you die? So how or what do you want to be remembered for after you die? And you'll be in the breakout room for 5 minutes, and then you'll get the notification to come back at the 5-minute. Would anybody like to take just a really quick minute to share any of the conversations or anything that came up during their time?
I just wanted to mention one thing. When my first husband died, we were no longer married, but we had remained very good friends. And I ended up spending quite a lot of time with him in his last 16 months and helping him through that time. And I wrote his obituary. And my favorite line was that we had a 17-year marriage sandwiched in a 35-year friendship. But the best compliment I got from people was that they thought he had written the obituary, which I just loved that he didn't want to write it, and he helped me a little bit with some of the stuff he wanted in there, but that was the biggest compliment, I think, was that they thought he had written it. Yeah.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing that, Mary. Okay, so shall we keep going then? We do another roll. And this time we're on a pink, which is the share. So this will give you the opportunity to share anything you've written down in your menu. So you started off by getting the chance to write in the menu at least one thing. So I know you have one thing to share. So just wondering if anybody would be willing to either put it in the chat or to unmute and or put their hand up or find some way of letting us know you want to share. And again, it's what matters to you now in your life, during your dying process, or after your death. Do we have any sharers tonight? One thing for one person? Okay, I see Becca.
Well, I don't know if you can steal other people's answers in this game.
Of course.
But
this
I
is
did.
totally fair.
So I've always had the kind of the saying, that question that people ask themselves, did I love well? And that's always been kind of how I answered that question. But someone in the group said they wanted to be remembered for being really present to people. And that is loving well. And so and then a couple other people said things like someone who reaches out, someone who's kind. So I realized that kind of defining what loving means in kind of more action or relational type things. So that was a really good insight for me.
And what's really neat about knowing that, or the presence, or, you know, is that it can work for now in your life, during your dying process. And you can also even think, how can I be present, you know, or how can I leave a legacy of presence, you know, after my death? Anyone else have any? I know we got a nice chat.
I have one.
Yeah.
After your death, I put some type of remembrance.
Mhm.
And I guess what I'm thinking of, I've been really enamored with the whole concept of the Day of the Dead. And with continual discussion and where we are in Tucson, I have heard speakers and I have heard other people, you know, native people native of Mexico and really into the culture, knowing far more than I'll ever will, talk and explain. And I also like Coco on TV.
Yeah.
And I think that cartoon is funny. I like animation. I'm a real fan of animation. The colors and the songs and everything. It's definitely a classic. And I'm glad somebody from Tucson had something to do with that.
Yeah.
But what I really enjoy is that how they make the link and how important it is to remember those who have gone before us. Somehow, and I wish we had more of a tradition of that in the United States, but I think maybe in the Southwest we're inclined to sort of adopt that or steal it or whatever. But I think it's a good one to have, and I think it's something that really should be sort of a national thing.
And you know, it can even be a simple thing like they do with food, right? Where you put an extra plate at the table. Richard, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, well, Alan, thank you for mentioning that, because certainly Coco is a wonderful story about that. And I just want to mention I'm Becca's husband, and Becca, you had some really wonderful things to say, which were similar to what happened in our breakout group. But we did this thing at our wedding, which was we had a table with folding cards on them, blank cards, and we invited any and everyone who attended our wedding to write the name of someone who they wanted to have their presence there. The person didn't have to be alive, you know, so it could have been, oh gosh, you know, my cousin in Florida, I wish she were here, or something like that. But it also meant, I think about, because an awful lot of people who are close to me have died in my life. And it was one way of bringing them in to be part of it. And it reminds me of that thing that happens with Day of the Dead, where the you know, remembering, I think is really critical.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, Jen, should we keep going then? Okay, and yeah, keep looking at the chat. There's some really good ones. So this is another define question. So we're going to get a poll in a minute. So these are legal medical definitions. This one's medical, I guess legal too. So define mental capacity. Do you think it is A, you're able to understand relevant information when making a healthcare decision and can grasp both potential impacts or consequences of taking or refusing treatment? Or B, the ability to make and communicate your own decisions? C, the amount of information you can hold in your brain? Or D, both A and B? So you just give your little vote and submit. Okay, so the answer is actually both A and B. So it's not just having the ability to understand relevant information and understand the consequences, of accepting or denying treatment, but it's also being able to communicate that. And I know that it's really important. So in just as a kind of a little piece of information in where I live, because if you're deemed mentally incompetent, or and again, it can come and go, right? Maybe it's medication, could be dementia, it could be all sorts of things. But someone needs to speak on your behalf, and that's one of the reasons why it's so important to have these conversations with your loved ones. Because if you are deemed mentally incompetent, in our area, we can't write things out in the same way legally. The medical profession needs to speak to someone. And even if you can do that in your area, I mean, I know it's different in other areas, you can't think of everything. You still need someone often to speak on your behalf in some way, shape, or form. So that's why these conversations are so important to have. Okay, so let's keep going. And we're going to end in this center again at the choice. So this choice question, so again, would you rather? If you were dying, would you rather have everyone know your prognosis, or would you only maybe just tell a select few? And again, we're just going to open it up. If anybody wants to share their answer, they can put it in the chat. Maybe explain a little bit more if you want about why you would choose one or the other. There's no right answers to these would you rathers. Anyone have a preference? Some people put it on Facebook. I don't know if anybody's putting their hand up, so we'll just assume.
I don't have a Facebook account, and I hope I never do. But I don't know if it would be everyone, but I feel like I would want many people to know in order to just be able to be surrounded by that care and love and compassion. And so, but I have found I never really know what that answer is going to be until I get there. And I may feel very differently.
Yeah. Okay, Carla's got her hand up. Oh, I don't know where she went. Okay.
I agree with David. I had stage 3C endometrial cancer 6 years ago, and I chose not to put anything on Facebook because to me it trivialized the health crisis I was going through. But the people that I did let know, I mean, I got so much support from unexpected places, old friends that I hadn't been in contact with for years, people in my church that I didn't really even know that well. So to be so open about the vulnerable situation I was in allowed me to get those gifts of the care.
Yeah. That's lovely.
So, but with the prognosis, I don't want to know how much time the doctor is predicting that I have to
Right.
live.
Mhm.
I feel like there's no way anybody can know that.
Right.
Yeah, which is another good question, right? To know, and then also to be able to express that to the professional, to the doctor, or to your loved ones who might want to know, right? They might be going, no, I want to know, but it's your, so having those conversations is really important. Okay, so let's keep going. Now we're going to another yellow, which is right. So this is where your menu or your piece of paper or your back of the envelope, whatever you're writing on. And you're just going to write another thing. And so maybe you've got some other ideas now that we've had these conversations and we've been thinking and talking about some more things. You can add anything you can think of in any of the categories, the now in your life, during your dying process, and after your death. And we probably won't even need the full 2 minutes. So we'll give it at least a minute and we'll see how people are doing.
Everyone got written something down?
Hmm.
All right.
Okay, so let's keep going. And there's 3, so we're going to move to the chance, which is the purple. So we're going to try another breakout room. And this time, what we're going to do is to share a story of a significant or memorable death. And it could be anyone. It could be a person you knew, a pet, could even be just, a hero in a story or a hero in a movie or a hero, someone you've heard about in the news. It could be any kind of something that's stuck with you or had an impact on you. And we're going to just spend our 5 minutes sharing that. So are we all back then? Do you think we should take the time, Jen? Should we keep moving? I think we'll keep moving. We just want to get to as many questions as we can. Okay, so this is a reflect question. And so we're just going to stay together, and anyone who wishes to answer this question can again, put their hand up or unmute or put it in the chat. Who do you hope is with you as you are dying, if anyone? Who do you hope is with you? And it could be no one. Anyone have any responses that come up for them? Any thoughts?
I'll share. I'm looking
Sure.
for my raising hand, but I don't see it. I just have to say that my reaction to all of these about what do I want in the future or after I'm dead or this one, who do I want? It's not that I don't have a vision, like my funeral is the epic Viking funeral, flaming thing and going off in the water and the whole thing. Anyway, but I spend much more time feeling great about not caring about any of that because I'm not going to know, and I'm probably not going to have any control over it. And I'd much rather want to be able to go right now in utter peace and ease, psychologically anyway, than be attached to anything like this. not to discount that it's a great conversation for people to have who haven't thought about it. And I'll just have to qualify by saying I've probably thought about this for 40 plus years in my life, my profession and my passion. So, you know, that's how I can get there, I guess, but it's just me.
I know one of the times that I was playing this with a couple or with a group of people, and the gentleman at first, he was saying, well, of course I want my family with me, and then, you know, the next person said, I only want the people that want to be there, was her, you know, was her comment. And he started to think about that, and as we went around, and that became more of the theme then, you know, is you know, and anyways, what he blurted out, he's like, my kids don't get along. They haven't spoken to each other forever. I don't want them to feel like they have to be standing there and be fake around, you know, in my room when I'm dying, or I don't want that energy around me. Like, so, you know, having that conversation, actually, for one thing, it opened perhaps his perspective of it doesn't have to be a certain way. But it also kind of got him thinking, like, I'm going to let them know that, you know, that if they can't handle being there, they don't want to be there, like, that's okay. And not to feel guilty, I guess, was the piece. Did anyone else have their, I'm not sure if anyone else did.
I always become humble when I think of what somebody said a long time ago, that the human being is the only animal on the given earth that knows they're going to die. And, you know, I was just thinking, because I do some reading in mindfulness would say you shouldn't worry about that on the front end. That you know, that some people say, I want to die a peaceful death or a good death. And to many people, that would be dying in your sleep and not waking up, rather than having a prolonged episode of sickness. And I think that's what most people would like. I don't know. And I don't know who would be around them or not, if you'd be cognizant enough to know.
Christina, you had your hand up?
What came to me was when my husband was dying, we did a little ceremony, and it was actually just myself and him in the room, and someone on video and somebody doing a remote soul removal process. And I felt like, looking back in that time, I felt like the room was completely full. And later, when I spoke with the woman who was doing the remote viewing, she said, "Oh yeah, there were tons of people in there waiting for him. He was right there." And that's what comes to me of all the beautiful people that have passed that might be waiting. I think are going to be waiting.
Yeah, it's lovely. So, sorry, Jen, when are we wrapping things up? I just remember your time and my time are messing with my head.
Yeah, we have about 5 minutes, so we're only about halfway through. So I would just want to be respectful. If people want to continue, we can, you know, we can skip some and kind of rush through the end. But if everyone feels like they got a good sense of the game and you're done for the evening, we can do that too.
And I think Jen, when we were talking to Jen, she emphasized there's no like goal here in this game. Like, we're not trying to get somewhere. It is the process of answering these questions and grappling with some of this as well.
I had someone say one more. I don't know.
Okay, why don't we do one more, and then then we'll wrap it up.
All right.
And this will be a choice. This can be a thought-provoking one. So again, would you rather receive treatment for a terminal illness that may give you more time, but may make you feel worse, or have no treatment and risk having less time, but perhaps maybe not feel as bad or as out of it? Any thoughts for that one?
This is quantity versus quality.
Could be, yeah. We got a no treatment. And Becca's got her hand up. Oh, you're muted. Did you not want your hand up?
Well, that's just actually, I had it up to ask how we can continue working with this game, but
Oh,
we'll talk about that.
Phyllis?
Oh, I think the majority of people start out with, I want the treatment no matter how bad it makes me feel, but they get to the point where they say, enough is enough.
And then it becomes sometimes the conversation with their loved ones, right? Who may want the more time, like the prompt, like the idea of more time. I know there's an author in our area, Stephen Jenkinson in Canada, and he always poses that question, like, what will you do with your more time? Even if you were to get that more time, what will you do with it? Because that if it's just spending it in hospitals or in treatment rooms or or even fearing death, then yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up for tonight. So what we would do, and what we would have done, is go to the exit door. And the exit door, oh, there we go. We're going now. So the exit door is the moment of your death. And in a game, what we would normally in an in-person game, what we would be doing is having someone else speak our wishes on our behalf. So if all we had said during the game and what they remembered and what they understood, they have to speak your wishes on your behalf. So that might give you a heads up of, hey, wow, I didn't really say much, or I wasn't very clear with what I said. But what we're going to do is I'm just going to ask you the question. As you look at your menu in front of you, and if that's all your loved ones knew, all the people, the caregivers, professional caregivers, or your loved ones knew on your behalf, would that be enough for you? Would that be enough for you? And then the back of your menu, or the second page of your menu, has some next steps, because maybe it isn't enough. Maybe you haven't shared enough, or you haven't written enough, or you haven't thought enough, or you want to think more. The next steps are your place to capture some of those ideas of what you might want to think through, or what you value most about, what you'll write down, who you want to talk to about this, and maybe even who you want to make peace with. So I just encourage you to keep this process going. Just, if you feel like, maybe you haven't been thinking about it for 40 years, but well, maybe you have and you've thought it all through. But the idea of, bringing your values, I like to use the expression, what is the life you want to lead, and what is the life you want to lead? And I think we owe it to ourselves to figure that out now in our lives, what's important to us, what matters to us now, so that we can lead lives that matter, that are in alignment with our values. But I also think we owe it to our loved ones, especially because they may be walking along with us and making decisions for us, speaking for us, or watching it unfold. And I believe we owe it to them as well, because they will be walking this path, if not before us, hopefully not before us, but after us. At some point, they will be walking the same path. And so if we can explore and understand not what is the perfect death, I don't mean it like that at all, but what is the death that not just, suits us in our, or the death we deserve, but actually what is that kind of final point on the chapter of our life that we deserve? That's what this is about as much as anything else. So again, really appreciate and grateful, and thank you for inviting me to your conversation tonight, and I hope you enjoyed it. Is there a way for us to continue? So I do work with families, I do work, or individuals, like if that would be of interest, my website, exitmatters.com. I also have kind of resources that you can work through that have a lot of these questions in them. I call it a resource menu. where you can kind of look at the, you know, some of the resources or thought, kind of the things that will help you think through. And that's all on my website if you're interested.
Yeah, please check out the website. And I mean, I think that what's really great about this game is it has so many possibilities to begin conversations, but then it gives you the freedom to take it a little bit further or in different directions, however you feel like would be most meaningful. And that's really the goal of this, is to find your way with your loved ones, whoever you feel like it's most meaningful to have these conversations. So thank you so much, Jen.
You're welcome.
All right. And we really want to hear from you as well. So we'd love to get your feedback on tonight's session. And just, you know, if you have suggestions about how it might work better, or if you have suggestions about other games. So this is the 3rd annual game night. And we want to keep it going. We do this once a year. So if you have other suggestions for future game nights as well, that would be great. But please take a moment and give us a little bit of a feedback from tonight's session. We really appreciate it. And we hope that you will join us next month. The topic is going to be what death doulas do and don't doula. We have our own McKenna Reinhardt, who's a death doula here in Tucson, and we're going to have other death doulas who will join us as well. And I think it's going to be a wonderful conversation. So that's on May 18th at the same time at 6 o'clock. So please register if you haven't done that. And then we're so happy that Rabbi Stephanie Aaron, who wasn't able to make it last month when we had scheduled her for writing our ethical wills, that our lives, meanings and messages live on beyond our years. But she is able to be with us in June, on June 15th. So please, if you have registered and for the March one, you're automatically registered for the June one. But if you didn't register for March, please go on there and register. And then we'll be sending out some information in a packet the week before the event that will help with the evening's conversation. So thank you so much for being here once again. And please know that one of the main ways we're able to bring this to folks every single month is by donations that people make. We want to make this free and available to everyone. So if you feel so moved, please take a moment to go to our website, rootsandroads.org, and there's an easy way to donate by clicking a button there. And thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to seeing you next month and in June as well. So blessings to everyone.